Hey, what's up? So, this is Axel. This is my new YouTube video channel thingy for people who want to learn how to draw. It's called ICanDraw. So, right now what we're doing is adding, the guidelines, basically, just mapping out your shapes and forms, and then now we're doing the eye because obviously I didn't give enough time to explain anything. I just started rushing. But the most important thing you want to do while drawing is have your layout like as perfect as you can before you add any detail, because later on in the video I'll explain and it'll show that if you don't lay out stuff proportionately or correctly, you may have problems like the person doesn't look like how they're supposed to, or the nose is wrong, or the ears are too big, or whatever. So always try to lay out stuff correctly and proportionately. And right now I'm actually drawing in Photoshop. That is my preferred way to draw. If you like drawing in Photoshop, this may be a good way. And if you prefer the more traditional way of drawing, then there's actually toned paper that you can get. It comes in gray or brown or whatever color, and that basically does your midtones. So then you can go in and add shadows and highlights the same way you would go in this drawing and do your shadows and highlights. Because right now we already have the midtone, which is like the skin color, whatever. But well, not skin color because it's black and white, but yeah. So right now we're just drawing the eyeball. Looks okay so far. Adding in shadows for the hair. Looks pretty cool. This video is 44 minutes long, so I don't know how I'm gonna film 44 minutes of conversation, but I'll give it a shot. So right now, the way I don't even know what I was gonna say, but this is a pretty terrible video for the first video. I should have written a script, but I'm just winging it. Okay, so for the shadows, you wanna just try to draw things the way you see them. Don't add lights. Don't add highlights or whatever that you don't see, or shadows or lines. A lot of people when they draw, they usually outline stuff, and normally in real life or whatever there are no outlines, so just draw what you see. Right now I'm just mapping out most of the shadows, just getting basically whenever I do shadows, I don't just like to draw just on a plain gray surface. So right now I'm just adding a bunch of detail, which I will adjust later on, but it's just giving it some teeth to grip on, I guess. I don't know, but yeah. So feel free to skip around. You don't have to watch this just straight through. If you want to skip to the end, feel free, that is fine. If you want to just listen to the whole thing, that's cool too. I don't mind. It's for y'all. If y'all want to learn how to draw, hopefully this will be a good way. Or if you just like watching people draw, I guess that's fine too. But right now I'm just adding in shadows, or not shadows. I'm adding in the hair, pretty much. It's just strands of hair. There's not really a technique. You just go down, but I don't do it straight black, and I think at this point it just would have taken too long, so I did skips. If I didn't do skips, this video would be literally 3 hours long, and I did not draw this in real time, just FYI. This video has been skipped, or it's been sped up about 600 times, so This video is like 44 minutes long. In reality, it actually took like 3 or 4 days to do. So yeah, it takes quite a bit. Right now, I don't know why the video quality is not very good. That is not how I drew things, but yeah. Right now I'm just, mapping up stuff, trying to do the nose. It's looking okay so far. I think later on I run into the trouble of, not laying out stuff proportionately, so she looks really weird, and then I have to go back and adjust stuff. By the way, this is my friend. Her name's Janet. We went to the Parrot Museum for the first time, which was pretty cool. I like science. I like dinosaurs. But yeah, like she's really cool. So I guess I asked her if I could draw. But yeah. So right now, I drew my friend. But if y'all have any suggestions for later videos, maybe some cool ideas, concepts, I will definitely be down to, draw stuff. It's for y'all, like I said. So if y'all want to learn how to draw, like, I don't know, a tiger or like a car or something, we can definitely try that. Definitely, leave any comments in the comment section. So right now I'm just adding in the lip. Normally the top lip would be darker than the bottom lip, and I still have the guidelines. I don't know if you can see on the layer side, the layer 2 or the top layer. I think I just skipped ahead, but that's normally where my guideline is, just to make sure things are where they're supposed to be. Like I said, I can't stress enough the guidelines, how important they are when you're drawing, because that's pretty much the foundation, Sorry, I'm eating like Starbursts, so I don't know if it picks up on the mic, but which is really unprofessional. But just FYI, people look weird without eyebrows. So if y'all think she doesn't look like how she's supposed to be, it's because she doesn't have an eyebrow yet. But yeah, I think one of the most coolest things to draw would probably be the eyes. They just give so much depth and so much emphasis on like just a drawing in general. Like, I always think it's really cool to draw eyes for some reason. I think I don't quite get the drawing correct the first time, but I go back and adjust it. And drawing a person's face is really cool because that to me is where I can put the most amount of detail. That challenges me to get things right and proportionate, and I think it's pretty cool drawing faces. And then once they have clothes or whatever, that's not as interesting, so you don't have to get things as perfect, but just drawing a face is really challenging. And I hope that eventually, for any artist out there, they eventually get out there and draw faces and draw things that will challenge them, not just the same old routine and the same old things, because you don't progress as an artist like that, in my opinion. Art is something definitely that you want to just explore, because it's really cool sometimes, the stuff that you can make when you're not trying to make something. Right now I think her forehead is not the way I wanted it, so I go back and adjust it. The lighting's not the best, so I mean, not the lighting, like the shadows and highlights that I did. So what I have so far on the face will be adjusted. The reason why I like Photoshop though is because if you do something wrong, you can just go and liquefy things and warp things and just tweak them, and the drawback to drawing the more traditional way is if you make an error like that, you usually have to go back and erase things and then go back and draw it again, and sometimes they don't erase, so you know, it can pretty much ruin a drawing. But that's why I stress enough that or I don't stress enough that your guidelines are the most important things. I don't really go over it in this drawing, but I will in future drawings. I want to make a video after this showing like the basics, because this is more advanced, but hopefully, you know, for people who are advanced and they're looking at this, they can see it and be like, oh, this isn't like just a basic video, like learning basics, like I can show other stuff too. But right now I'm just trying to get her hair right and her nose, like that part. There's a difference between the left and right side. I think the left side is darker, and I eventually get there in the video. I thought I was gonna get there now, but I guess not. What else? So right now I'm just working on the lips, or maybe not. But I think the lips were kind of challenging on this part as well. Just her face in general was very difficult, just because I didn't do the guidelines correctly. That's something that I can't stress enough. But luckily, Photoshop, you can edit stuff very, very quickly. So I would prefer that people use that. I am using a tablet. It's just a random, or not random, it's like a bamboo tablet, you know, nothing super fancy, nothing big. For people out there who are wondering what kind of tablets they should get, it doesn't necessarily matter. It's just more based on your skill, and a tablet will help you, you know, draw things and get your ideas out there, but they're not really gonna improve your drawing skills per se. Like, you're not gonna become Picasso overnight with the tablet. It's just to get you better. It's to get your ideas out there, like, better. You're not limited to like the type of paper that you're using, or the darkness of your pencils, like H2 or B2 or whatever they had. I don't remember. But right now I think her jaw is really strong, and it's predominant in the picture. I go back and adjust a lot of things. The warp liquify tool is really helpful. But I mean, it's not looking so bad right now, but it doesn't look quite like her. And like I said, feel free to skip around if y'all need to. Y'all don't have to watch the entire thing. Y'all can literally just skip to the end, and that'd be fine. People have asked me, how long does it take to get to a pretty comfortable level in art? If you try hard and you practice, it just depends on your motivation, but eventually, like, I believe anybody can draw, or anybody can do, you know, whatever they decide to do in life. Like, it's just a matter of practice and dedication and hard work, pretty much. So right now I'm just, you know, adding shadows and shading, trying to get things to look right. It's kind of hard sometimes just to eyeball stuff, but a good way to start off in a drawing is to make it black and white and then add in the color later, as opposed to, you know, starting off with color, especially if you don't know the values and the like the contrasts and stuff. Starting off in black and white definitely helps because you already get your shadows and highlights, and then you just add color. And then right here, when it was recording the video, I was doing some warping, like on the liquify tool, and I don't know, I guess it just like messed up or whatever. But I think this is day 2, and I got some of the proportions to look right on the face. I had to go back to it. It's always good taking some time off from a drawing and then coming back to it later on, just so you can see like the differences that you don't really catch the first time. But yeah, what I did with the hair, I didn't do it straight black. That way I can add contrast, like even darker values and highlights. Whenever you try to the only tools, I know this is kind of late to say, 16 minutes in, but the way that I draw in Photoshop, I only use, well, I don't only, but I mainly use just 2 tools, which is burn and dodge. They are on the left hand side of the screen, and burning, you know, makes it darker, and then dodging adds the highlights. So whenever you're working in grayscale, that works perfectly. Whenever you're working in color, maybe not so much because it kind of alters some of the values, but sometimes it works. It depends. And then whenever you're working in black and white, like for the hair, you can add darker colors or darker shades or lighter shades. But if you do it on straight black, it adds like artifacts or pixelation, so that's not usually the best thing you want to have. So right now I'm just working on the neck, adding some lines and shadows. I think I alter it more a bit later, but mainly that's how it usually ends up looking. I think I do like make it look a lot better though towards the end. There are my guidelines just to show where things are. Usually you don't want to add such outlines like that around the neck, because in the drawing it kind of looks like it, but it's not really it. And that's usually get lines like that, like outlines, due to difference in shadows or difference in colors. It's not technically that there's a line there, but I guess people perceive it as a line. I don't know. Right now I'm just adding details on the neck. I'm almost done with it, I think, you know, aside from some alterations. And then right now I'm adding hair. Hair's really simple and easy, especially when you're rushing. You don't necessarily need to have it perfect or like the perfect hair, but I guess it's easier for her just because her hair is black. If it was like blonde or something, I could see where it could get difficult. We are 18, about to be 19 minutes in to the video, so I'm actually surprised I'm still talking about stuff. Right now I'm just adding highlights to the hair. There's, you know, a highlight from behind her because there's a city back there, and I guess most of the buildings were really light, so that makes the buildings bright, and then that casts light back to her head and stuff like that. A bunch of science that you don't necessarily need to know, but it's always good to know whenever you're drawing, to know where the light is coming from, how it's bouncing, how it's reacting to whatever the material is. Like, let's say it's a metal as opposed to skin, which has some translucency, or if you want to refer to it in video game terms, it has subsurface scattering. We could get really technical if y'all want to, but anyways, right now I'm just adding shadows to the collar. I don't really put a lot of detail into her clothes, but I think towards the end I just add a bit more detail. Not necessarily a lot though. Like once you have the face, a lot of people's attention are gonna go to the face as opposed to something small, like, well, not small, but something that doesn't require a bunch of detail like clothes or, you know, or arms or whatever, because the face is the thing that is the attention getter. So that's what people mostly look at. What else? But yeah, if y'all, like I said before, if y'all want to throw out ideas, you know, what do y'all want to draw? Y'all want to draw like dragons or T-Rexes or robots or people or animals or trees or foliage or landscapes or whatever, definitely let me know in the comment section and we can try doing that. That'd be cool. If you actually know me in person and you want me to like draw you or something, I can. I have a pretty good camera, so I can like just take really high res pictures and then draw that as opposed to like a cell phone picture or whatever. I don't mind, because this is basically for people who like want to draw or are interested or whatever. So I'm here to help y'all. If y'all need help or want help or whatever, I don't know. Right now I'm just adding detail to the clothes. Something that was actually somewhat difficult for me was the folds, just because getting that like really light shadow in there was, I don't know, like it was challenging. Like I couldn't do it quite properly because, you know, sometimes I would add it really light and then I'd go back and I'm like, this is way too light, so I'd have to go back and add shadow, and then later on I'd be like, well, there's too much shadow. So definitely shadows and highlights are difficult at first, especially on different materials. Like skin is always going to be different from like clothing, and clothing is going to be different from metals, so it's always interesting to draw different materials. If you don't know how to change the brush sizes in Photoshop, just right click. It's pretty simple. You just change the sizes. I usually just use 3 brush types. A pretty like circular, no feathering, one that's kind of feathered, and then one that's more like a splatter type texture. And I use that mainly just to add like texture to the drawing that doesn't necessarily have. Like whenever you're drawing skin, that brush is really nice to use because people's skins are not they're not smooth, they have texture, as opposed to like metal, which you probably wouldn't use unless you want to like dirty it up or whatever. Right now I'm adding shadows to the arms. Sorry, I'm eating candy again. But I'm about to do not a technique, just something really simple to do to get different colors or shades, I guess. You just change the brightness of a certain section instead of, you know, adding shadows or burning where the gray part of the shirt is. I just change the hue and saturation, or you could change the brightness, it doesn't really matter. And then that definitely saves a lot of time. I don't quite remember when I do it, but I'm assuming it's pretty soon. I think it's right now. Yep, I am grabbing a section and changing the brightness and then just erasing like whatever doesn't need to be that color. It doesn't matter what kind of brush you use. I like to use a feathered brush just because you don't get that hard cut and then right there I have changed the color, and now I'm just burning and dodging. Adding detail to her body, and in this part I don't quite add the lettering or the logo for Superman, but eventually towards the end I do, and I do it the same process I did to darken the shirt. I don't necessarily go in and dodge the entire thing, because that would take quite a while, and there are different ways to achieve the same thing. And that's one thing that I like about Photoshop, as well as it being so easy to change stuff, that you can have multiple ways of doing the exact same thing. And some ways are faster, some ways are quicker or slower, or more difficult, but there are different ways, and I like that approach, as opposed to the traditional drawing where you kind of need to add stuff like a base or whatever. You don't necessarily need to do that in Photoshop. You can approach things how you want to, and it's pretty cool. So right now I'm just adding the shadows on the shirt. I think I'm about to start the arm, if I recall. Nope, actually I'm adding the shadows to the arm. Just adding a outline, not necessarily like a straight outline that you would see in a drawing or whatever. It's just to know where the shadows start and where the brighter parts of the arm are. So I try to blend that as much as possible. I think right there I did it too dark, so if I remember correctly, I go back and adjust it. If you notice, or if you do know how to use Photoshop and you see that I'm not burning or I'm not dodging, there's a way. I think it's if you press Alt. If you're burning, it does the opposite if you're holding Alt, so it dodges instead of burns. Same thing with if you're using the blur tool. If you press Alt, it sharpens it instead of blurs it, which is pretty cool. So that's what I do most of the time. That's how you see that I'm burning and dodging. That way I don't have to go back and click, burn or dodge. So I know that can be kind of confusing if you don't know how to use Photoshop. They have a free trial if you want to use it, want to check it out. It's pretty cool. I really enjoy using it. It was cool when I was using the mouse, but now that I got this tablet hooked up and it's all working, it's just a bunch of fun. I definitely enjoy it. If y'all want to try it, y'all should definitely try it. It is worth the try. I recommend it. Right now I'm working on the shirt. I think right there I probably burned it too much, so I go back and alter it later on. I don't know if I do that now or later, but right now I'm liquefying and warping stuff. I tend to do that a lot, and I guess the video messed up again. I don't know. It tends to do that. I'm probably gonna switch video editors if I can find a better one that is free, because I kind of don't want to pay for something when I can use it for free. That's maybe not the best thing, but hey, it gets the job done most of the time. I'm adding detail to the shirt. Like I said before, it doesn't have to be exact because the face is the attention getter, not necessarily the clothes. I could have spent more time on the clothes if I wanted to, but sometimes whenever you're drawing, you just necessarily don't need to do certain things. Not everything has to be in detail. There are some things that can have less detail, and that's perfectly fine. It just depends on the type of art that you want to make, and yeah, I don't know. But we are about 30 minutes in. Wow. So yeah, for people who are watching this, Don't necessarily think that it's gonna take you 44 minutes to draw something like this. I mean, if you're really good, it probably could. Who knows? Definitely, if you put in the time and effort, you can get super, super good. But, I mean, if you're drawing and you like drawing, it may take you days to do, or it may take you a while. And that's fine. You know, it definitely is, about the final product, pretty much. Well, not even a product, because that would be referring to art as something that you want to sell, which, I mean, you could, but it depends on the final piece, you know. Like, you gotta take the time to achieve something that looks nice and that you're proud of and that looks, you know, visually pleasing. So, as long as you're doing that, like, it may take a while, but it'll come out good. And that's what life's about. So, right now I'm doing the hands. There's really no trick or way to do the hands. You just gotta, like, plan it out with the layout, and then just draw what you see, pretty much. It can take years to learn, and it's not necessarily something that is learned. It's more like just it's more about just practicing and practicing, and eventually you just pick it up. It's not even necessarily about using your hands. It's more about what you can see, and then just putting that on paper or canvas or whatever you want to do it. I'm like running out of stuff to say. There's about 13 minutes left. So, yeah. Just working on the hands, shadows, details, lighting. I probably should have written a script for this. Let's see. Just add lighting and detail. So right now it looks, you know, pretty good. Still gotta finish up the final arm and then the legs, which the legs are actually really, really simple to do. You don't have to go in and burn them. You can just adjust the brightness the same way you do the shirt, and I'll eventually do that with the logo and the lettering. It's really simple, but I think in the video I do it really, it comes out sharp. So blurring and sharpening stuff, but mainly blurring, you know, definitely helps. Working on the hand right now. One thing that actually helps out a lot in drawing, if you don't quite know, is anatomy. Just knowing how the hand is, or knowing how a certain body part is, or how it's supposed to look, definitely helps out, as opposed to just drawing off interpretation or what you think something looks like. It's pretty cool learning anatomy, like how the eye is supposed to be, or, you know, the nostrils, or you know, the muscles in your arms. That's pretty cool to know. So if you can transfer that on paper, it definitely helps out when drawing people. Yeah, what else? Just finishing up the arm. Like I said, you're free to, like, just skip around. You don't have to watch this, but if you do, that's pretty cool. If you're actually learning something, which, I mean, right now I'm not really necessarily teaching the best because I didn't plan stuff out, but if you're actually learning something, that's pretty cool. Hopefully you let me know in the comment section, and if it helps, definitely tell me what helped. That way I can show more of that style, or less, or a different style, depending on what y'all want to do. Right now I am working on the stomach section, I think in the middle it's just a bit too contrasted, so I might lighten that up later if I remember. I actually just did that now. So, finishing up the hair, I had some layout right there prior to what I'm doing now. I think this part of the hair was kind of tricky, just because, I don't know, for some reason it just didn't necessarily look like hair. Normally it's not hard to do hair, but I guess this part, just because in the picture there was a building behind there, and then in this drawing there's not, so it just looked weird. But I think I eventually fixed it. If not, then it still might look a bit weird. What I'm noticing right now is that her shoulder on the drawing is not as bright as the actual picture. I think I go back and edit that later on at the end. But one thing that I actually noticed about burning and dodging, which I do fix at the very end, it's like a final process thing. You get like this yellowy tint to it, as opposed to the picture, which has like a bluer tint. So that's a pretty easy fix. You just go to hue and saturation, and then you change the color to like a blue, and then change the opacity to like 2 or something. It's pretty simple. Or you could just make it black and white, which I don't think solves the problem, because it's still, I don't know, to me it looks more yellowy for some reason, even though they're both black and white. I'm just finishing up right here. I'm actually almost done. I think the final thing aside from like her shoulder or her arm, it's just the lettering and the logo. That's actually does not take a long time. Right now, just adding those little loose pieces of hair actually helps out to make the hair look more realistic. So that's always good. And right now it looks light gray because I changed the opacity down, but I think I have it, I don't know, I can't tell, but I have it pretty low, so I go back and change it to make it black by adding full opacity. What else? Just trying to get those edges to line up. Not 100% though. I think I messed up right there, so I go back and fix it. Right now I am blurring the edges because they're kind of sharp because of the hue and saturation, contrast, brightness, whatever. So that's actually pretty much it for the drawing. I'm just going back and adding some more shadows and highlights and stuff, just making really small adjustments. They're not necessarily huge. And then right now I'm adding the logo. I put it on its own separate layer, that way I can adjust it and I'm not actually drawing on the drawing. The logo isn't quite difficult, it's just, you gotta kind of make it look like the drawing, and for some reason it took me a while. You liquefy and just adjust stuff. So that's my really bad handwriting. And that's another reason why I like Photoshop. Well, it's a previous reason, but you can go back and adjust stuff. It's pretty simple. So right now I'm just changing the brightness and cutting out what I don't need, and then I'm about to go back and actually do the final cuts, or final erasing, I guess would be the technical term. So I don't really do it on this besides the logo, but eventually I do like layered, I forgot what it's called. Layer properties? Sorry, tired. I changed the layer properties. I think it starts off on normal and I changed it to overlay, which makes the shadows underneath come out and the highlights as well. And then I duplicate it and make a normal, and then just change the opacity down. I don't remember how long this is gonna take. I think like a few more minutes, but I do eventually show it, and I don't really get into it, but it's a really helpful tool, especially when you're adding color, because you already have your shadows and you already have your highlights. So whenever you do add color, it just brings all that together, I guess. But right there, I'm doing the overlay and stuff, which it came out kind of nice, but not necessarily how the picture is. So I do go back and adjust it even more, put in some burn and dodge. Again, main tools I use. What I did like about the photograph, and actually the drawing came out pretty nice too, was the folds in the clothes. Like, clothes are not necessarily hard, but they're kind of tricky to get just to make it look real. So that's always interesting to draw. Right now I'm just adding more highlights, trying to make that shoulder pop more, and then I guess trying to uncontrast that part of the stomach. And then right now I'm just adding a bit more detail on the shirt. What is it? The stitching? They were actually supposed to be smaller, but I didn't feel like taking a lot of time on stitching because that's something that hardly anybody's gonna see. So I just made them a bit bigger. And then right now, I am actually adding a high pass filter to the drawing, which just makes things look more sharp, and that helps. But yeah, the high pass filter just adds sharpness without actually distorting the pixels. Well, I think it kind of does, but not a lot. And then I'm just adding, smiley face, because I'm pretty much done with the drawing. I think I do go back a bit more and just adjust. Yep. You can always go back and adjust stuff, but eventually do get to a point where you just say it looks really nice. And yeah, that's the final drawing. Hopefully, y'all learned stuff. Y'all enjoyed it. Y'all enjoyed the drawing and the process. And if you did like it, or you do want to learn more stuff, subscribe to the webpage. I mean the YouTube page. There's a yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. And if you have any other ideas that y'all want to throw out or would like to learn, definitely comment in the comment section. Thank you for watching, much appreciated, and definitely subscribe and let me know your feedback. That'd be cool. And yeah, the drawing came out pretty good too. Not to sound arrogant or cocky, but I thought it came out pretty nice. Huh. I forgot the step, but that was the hue and saturation, the blue tones, just to add more of a bluish color to make it look more gray, because before it was like yellowy or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now we're finished. Woo! Hopefully y'all liked it. And subscribe to the YouTube page.